Well, it doesn't seem like it's been a year since I stood before a group like this on the Sunday session in Oakland to talk a little bit about what we were going to be doing as a wing. But it has been a year. It's been a great year for me, and I've enjoyed everything that we've been doing this year. And I'm going to share with you this morning a little bit of what we've done as a wing today, and then tomorrow at the Sunday general session, we're going to talk a little bit about what we are going to be doing next year with our goals and objectives. The numbers I'm going to be sharing with you this morning are what I refer to as working numbers, because obviously our fiscal year is not yet ended. So these numbers are going to be slightly different than you might see in the year-end numbers that will be coming out in the next few weeks. So these numbers may be about a few days old or as much as a week old. As General Vasquez alluded to, our membership has remained pretty steady. We've seen a very good increase with the cadet programs, and only a slight decrease with the senior program, but with a modest gain of about a little under 1%, which still allows the California wing to be the second largest wing in the country behind the Florida wing. With our recruiting and retention, we got to remember with our recruiting and retention that our cadet program is a generational program. So as we see a large number of our cadets ebbing and flowing through the program, we got to remember that this year, we actually brought in about half of our program came in this year. This is as a result of the outstanding recruiting efforts that are constantly going on every day within our cadet program. By comparison, and I think General Vasquez had made the comment that we were in the 50% range in the retention in the senior program, you can see that our retention is more closer to 3/4 than the half. So we're doing very, very well when it comes to our retention. This slide here gives us some perspective on our senior professional development. I have a similar slide for our cadet programs that I'll be sharing with you in a moment. One of the interesting statistics here, though, I want to point out is that 60% of our senior members have been with us for 5 years or more, but only 15% of them have risen to the level or beyond level 3. And this is something that we're going to work very hard on in the year to come. Safety. Our safety program is headed by Lieutenant Colonel Mike Watkins, who you met earlier this morning. And he has worked extremely hard this year to help educate our members, to keep us safe, and also to help maneuver us through the new safety management system. Our safety numbers this year, well, first, we've seen a shift in the philosophical shift in safety within CAP this year. No longer are safety mishaps viewed with an eye towards the punitive. Our safety culture within CAP has begun to evolve much like it has in the corporate world, with an eye towards awareness and statistical analysis for preventing issues in the future. One of the things that you'll notice in looking at these numbers is that we have seen a decrease in our issues with our cadets, a decrease of 22% versus last year. That is in no small measure as a result of a greater emphasis on safety at our Cadet Programs Conference and at our encampment, where we saw a dramatic decrease in the number of mishaps, primarily because our cadet program staff at these events put a high emphasis on safety in all of their activities. The safety management system, as General Vasquez had pointed out, is a one-stop shop for us for everything that is safety. It allows us to find our safety briefings, our reports, and manage our incidents. It is by far a vast difference and a much improved portal for reporting safety. It is more involved, and it does require a little bit more learning when it comes to inputting these incidents, but it has been a very, very good tool for us moving forward. And one of the other things that has been a very big driver for us this year has been that we are now interlinking a lot of our safety training to our safety activities. So members who have received their monthly or safety briefings can participate in activities where if they haven't and they haven't been logged, then they aren't allowed to participate. So it's very important not only that we get our people to attend to these briefings, but also that they get the information in so they can attend, so they can participate in the activities. Now, our cadet program is, Now, our cadet program is recognized nationally as one of the strongest programs in the country. First, it's because of our leadership within that program. Led by Colonel Virginia Nelson, she has assembled an outstanding team of committed senior members who know what the cadet program is all about. People like Lieutenant Colonel Jim Jenkins, Lieutenant Colonel John Boyle, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Gwaltney, Major Lonnie Cahill, Major Renee McCoy, and Captain Tammy Sturgill, and countless others who give of their time and their experience to our cadets, and they make our cadets some of the best in the nation. Secondly, it's the programs that we have, like the Integrated Leadership Program and our Cadet Programs Conference and our Cadet Officers Basic Course, which have been developed and refined over many years and have now been recognized by national headquarters as the gold standard for cadet training. Some of the people I just mentioned and many others have been responsible not only for the development of these programs, but their refinement over many years. Lastly, but definitely not least, it's our cadets. The California Wing develops the best cadets in the nation, who are routinely recognized for their achievements and are the product of the training they have received and that is instilled in them. So let's take a look at some of the things they've done this year. This gives you some perspective as to some of the things that our cadets have been doing over the last year. And now my notes have completely disappeared. One of the things I want to point out, and I'll be talking a little bit about at our goals and objectives tomorrow, is at the bottom of this screen it shows our Cadet Officer Corps. Our Cadet Officer Corps is right now at about 9% of our overall number of cadets, which, as you see at the top, is a little bit under 1,700. One of our goals and objectives next year, and we'll be talking about this tomorrow, is to strengthen that Cadet Officer Corps and get it up in the 12 or 13% range, because we believe that we need to broaden the opportunities that we're offering our cadet officers and also take the knowledge that our cadet officers have and return it back to the cadet NCOs and the cadet basics. Our encampment this year was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Jim Jenkins and then Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Melanie Tunison. After a couple years at Camp Pendleton, we returned to what we consider to be our encampment home, which is Camp San Luis Obispo. Over the last few years, we have operated a joint encampment with the Nevada Wing, but this year Nevada decided to have their own encampment. Unfortunately, it was the same week as our encampment, but nonetheless, our encampment was at maximum capacity. Over 300 cadets and seniors worked hard, played very hard, and made our encampment one of the best that we've had. One of the points that I want to point out is we flew 189 cadets in one day, and and we did it very, very safely. Over the past few months, the California Wing has seen two of our brightest cadets Cadet Colonels Michael Chung and Melanie Tunison successfully passed their Carl A. Spots exam and joined the ranks of the 90 California Wing cadets before them to wear the triple diamonds of a cadet colonel. We have 2 more cadets preparing for their exam and will hopefully pass their exams before the end of the calendar year. On any given weekend, we should be assured that there is a cadet activity or multiple cadet activities going on somewhere in the wing. California Wing Cadets are constantly involved in activities at the national level, the wing level, the region level, and are regularly recognized for their achievements. I'm getting the hang of this. The training schools that are regularly held throughout the wing help our cadets and develop the leadership skills they need to grow and advance in the program. Over the next few weeks, a new drill and ceremony and color guard school will be held to teach cadets the precision required for these important functions and make our wing more competitive at national activities. Second, our Ultimate Baron Wings Challenge was a fun way for our cadets to compete with one another both physically and academically. And 22 of our squadrons participated in the Wreaths Across America program, which allowed us to not only help raise funds for our squadrons, but recognize our fallen veterans. While we haven't been as busy this year as we have in some years, emergency services led by Lieutenant Colonel Mitch Richmond and his team have been very busy and very active, keeping our members prepared for calls for service. As you can see from the search and rescue that are coming up now, numbers, our sorties have been off considerably this year. As you can see, we're off about 39% in SAR-DR missions. This is really something that's completely out of our control. And we take our taskings on these missions from the Air Force and from the California Emergency Management Agency. And so if you look at it from the perspective that they have less missions, that's pretty much a good thing. Now, while our missions were down, one of the things that you'll notice is that our flying hours were up. This is as to large extent because of our additional O-ride flying. We flew this year over 300 hours more O-rides than we did last year, for over 800 hours total for the year, bringing our overall aircraft usage up to about 106%. The majority of our aircraft hit the 200-hour mark or exceeded it. A few didn't, but because of the way the numbers work, we are at 106%. So thank you very much for keeping all of our aircraft in the air. Lieutenant Colonel Richmond, Major Phil Blank, and Captain Tolga Tarhan have worked hard over the past year, keeping a high level of training opportunities available in light of the reduced operations tempo. Every group participated in at least 2 search and rescue exercises, and the pilot and aircrew schools and clinics were able to bring more proficiency into the field. Our personnel continue to be the most important resource that we have in the event of an emergency. One of the areas that we need to improve on, though, is with our mission pilots. We like to see about approximately 5 mission pilots for every aircraft, and we're less than 4. So in the year to come, that we're going to be working very hard to increase that number and to especially bring many of the pilots back into the fold who their currency has fallen off. We have retired one of our aircraft this year, and we will be receiving a replacement in the next few weeks. And hopefully by the end of the calendar year, we'll be receiving another 206 aircraft into the fleet. Over the last year, we've acquired a new G1000 flight simulator that will help our pilots either help them learn the new system or help them transition from the old steam gauge systems. We hope that this system will allow us to bring our pilots in and train them in a more cost-effective manner and make their actual hands-on flight training much more topical and practical.
it's set up out in the lobby, right?
And it is out in the lobby. We're hoping that if this system proves to be beneficial, that we'll be acquiring at least a couple more and place them geographically throughout the wing. And as a result of the wing's hard work, both on Homeland Security and the counter-drug missions, the wing was awarded the Pacific Region Homeland Security and Counter-Drug Mission, and I'd like to ask Colonel Richmond to come up and accept it.
Here I am. Oh, is that the way it's supposed to work?
Uh-oh. The California Wing is one of the most robust AE programs in the country. Our program is headed by Major Dave Goody, and he has covered all aspects of AE, internal and external, cadet and senior, to ensure that we not only meet our congressional mandate, but give our members and educators, the public, the resources to learn about aerospace, both past, present, and future. Now, time won't really permit me to go through all of the things that our AE program has done, but I do want to touch on one area, and that is the new strategic alliance that we have entered into with the Academy of Model Aeronautics. Last year, CAP partnered with the AMA and created the Model Aircraft and Remote Control Flying Program, or MARC. This program promotes and supports aviation as an educational tool and focuses on hands-on experiences for all CAP members, not just cadets. And the program was involved, we were involved in several of our units, and we're hoping to get 15 of our units and hoping to get more next year. Education is a key component to our AE program, and the California Wing has been very involved in educating our members and bringing professional educators into the program. We have recruited 18 new teachers into the AEM program in the last year and flown 14 of them in the last 2 years. We have trained 36 new AE officers at the Pacific Region AEO School at March Air Reserve Base earlier in the year, and 124 members senior members have broadened their knowledge by completing the Jaeger program. A whopping 43% of our seniors have completed this program, when national headquarters considers 12% to be outstanding. Now, one of the things that I enjoy doing but don't get an opportunity to do enough of is going out and visiting squadrons. A few weeks back, I got the opportunity to go out and visit our glider squadrons in Los Alamitos, and was told that if I showed up attired correctly, that I might be able to get in the back of a glider and go for a ride. So when I got there, Lieutenant Colonel Jim Welliver asked me if I wouldn't mind being flown on that, if I wanted to take a ride that day, and if I didn't mind being flown by a cadet. And I said, well, okay, as long as he's got a license. So, as you can see, I got to take a glider ride with Cadet Chief Master Sergeant Nicholas Stiles at the controls. He's from Squadron 107 and has had his license for about 6 months prior to that. Chief Stiles did an outstanding job on that flight for me. As you can see, I'm still standing. And he has an outstanding future ahead of him, not only as a pilot, but as a flight instructor, because he was able to instruct me, and I had a great flight. So, Colonel Welliver, you're doing a great job with the glider program. Just a few years ago, just about 3 or 4 years ago, the California Wing received a marginally successful in their CI, or their compliance inspection, in aerospace education. It's the second lowest rating that we can get. In In the short period of time since then, Major Goody and his team have taken our program from a marginally successful to the top AE program in the nation, as we were presented with both the Pacific region and the National Aerospace Education Mission Award at the National Conference. So I'd like to ask Major Goody to please come up and accept that award for us. For the national award, so we look forward to seeing these on the wall at Wing headquarters. One of the things that CAP has been very involved with over the last couple of years is trying to get the Congressional Gold Medal for our World War II era members. This last year, we were able, the United States Senate actually passed their version of the bill and with the requisite number of co-sponsors, but unfortunately the House bill, which is H.R. 719, has somewhat stalled. And so as of last week, we still are looking for about another 80 of the required 290 co-sponsors for the bill. California Wing has been working very, very hard to try and get our state delegation, which is the largest congressional delegation in the country, to co-sponsor the bill. We've got 2 more people. We shook 2 more loose last week, but we only have 9 so far, which means we have 44 left to go. If we don't do it this year, we are within the next couple months, by the end of this congressional session, we will have lost all the momentum that we have gotten this year, and we'll have to start all over next year. So please talk to your state, write, email, Twitter, Facebook, your state congressional representatives, and urge them to co-sponsor H.R. 719. This last year, I had the honor to go up and present promotions and awards to 2 of our World War II era members. Colonel Stephen Patty was a charter member of CAP, joining in 1942. First as a mechanic, and then later he became a pilot and flew coastal patrol missions in the Gulf of Mexico. Earlier this year, I had myself and Major Pennybaker had the honor of promoting him to the rank of full colonel and presenting him with a Distinguished Service Award for his service during World War II. Shortly thereafter, I had the honor of meeting Edwin Sipe. Colonel Sipe was a recruiter and a pilot and ran a couple CAP bases in the Chicago area during World War II, and we were able to promote him to the grade of lieutenant colonel and present him with an award for exceptional service. Both of these gentlemen are 94 years old, and if you'll notice, Colonel Patty prides himself on being very much a CAP historian, and if you have an opportunity ever to hear him speak, he is a walking book of knowledge on CAP from 41 on. And you'll notice that Colonel Sipe is wearing his original CAP flight cap that he wore during World War II. Now, it's been said that the best job in the world is the job that you do when you don't have to do it at all. CAP is an organization like no other. It's like no other volunteer organization. It's like no other civic or fraternal organization. The people who participate in CAP participate in it because it's a calling. Now, that's not to say it can't be taxing. It can be taxing on our time, on our financial resources, and yes, our sanity. How many times, some of you just today, have you asked yourself, why am I doing this? Or having to explain to your family, your coworkers, or your friends why you do this. So what I'm going to do is in the next couple minutes, I'm going to give you a couple examples as to why we do this, and hopefully you can remember this and relay this to some of your friends. Just a couple of weeks ago, Captain Jerry Kohler and Second Lieutenant Odid Yosefer from Squadron 129 in Torrance were on a routine ferry flight from Sacramento back to Torrance. During the flight, they heard a broken Mayday call and advised Oakland Center that they had heard the call, and Oakland Center directed them into the area where the call had originated from. See, there was a Cessna 185 float plane that had had some engine trouble in a flight from Los Angeles up to Alaska. And the father and son, who were the crew of the airplane, were able to land the airplane on the water in the ocean about 10 miles from San Simeon. Our crew headed in the direction of the aircraft. Later, were able to pick up an ELT and were able to locate the aircraft in 18 minutes. As you can see, the aircraft was stable, but only for the time being. The crew advised Oakland Center of the location, and soon aircraft from the California Highway Patrol and the United States Coast Guard were sent to help. The seas were very rough, and the water temperature was very cold, so the Coast Guard decided to hoist the crew out. As you can see, the Cessna began sinking and sank shortly after the last crew member was taken right off the aircraft. Had Captain Kohler and Lieutenant Yosefer not heard the Mayday call, the two passengers on board might not have been rescued in time, and they would have probably perished in the 50-degree water. This is the reason why we do what we do. I'd like to ask Lieutenant Yosefer to please come up. Captain Kohler was not able to be with us this morning, but we will be giving his award to his group commander, who'll see to it that he gets it at his unit. But our emergency services successes aren't the only thing that we do. As any of our cadet programs people will tell you, building tomorrow's leaders is probably one of the most important things that you will do. Let's take the example of Daniel Jackson. Daniel joined CAP just 1 month shy of his 17th birthday, a little late for some CAP cadets. Nonetheless, he set his sights on the coveted Spots Award. At the urging of his leadership team at East Base Cadet Squadron 18, Daniel began to take full advantage of the ILP program and other leadership opportunities that were presented to him. He participated in 5 encampments in 4 years and was responsible for helping to guide numerous cadets and numerous flights at both these encampments. And he worked very hard all the while going to college and pursuing his degree. Unfortunately, he did not attain his spots, but he did get something a little better. As you'll see here, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Jackson, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Jackson is taking the oath by Major Mark Friedel, United States Air Force, retired, also from Squadron 18, as he became a new second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. When I asked Lieutenant Jackson about his time in CAP, he said, "I credit the Civil Air Patrol and the leaders and mentors I've had in the program for my success. If there's ever a reason why we do what we do, this is it. In closing, we've given some awards out this morning and to some very deserving members, and we'll be giving out some more awards this evening. And I would like to be able to give all of you an award for your hard work and your dedication to the program, but unfortunately that's just not possible. So so please accept my thanks for all that you do for our program. I am very proud to be your commander, and I am proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you as we perform our missions for our country, for our communities, and for our program. Thank you, and enjoy your conference.